But the real cost of plural marriage wasn't heartbreak. It was millions of dollars. And for Kody Brown, the bill finally came due the moment Christine packed her bags. We all watched that explosive exit, the tears, the confrontation, the dramatic drive away from Flagstaff. It was a raw emotional breakup that played out on camera, ending a 2-decade-long spiritual union. But what we're only now understanding is the profound financial ripple effect that single decision had on the entire Brown family structure, shattering Kody's dream and funding Christine's fairy tale. When Kody stood on that barren patch of dirt at Coyote Pass, preaching about the future and demanding total adherence to his grand vision, he never accounted for one thing: the price of a woman's freedom. His ambitious plan for 4 massive houses and a shared family compound crumbled, leaving him and Robyn holding the bag on a piece of land no one can afford to develop, a monument to their failed monarchy. How did the Brown family patriarch, the man who demanded respect and control, end up financially broken while his ex-wife, whom he often dismissed, is now the family millionaire? We're going to trace the money, the land, and the lies that led to this spectacular financial collapse. The Browns' finances were always built on quicksand. They filed for bankruptcy in the past, and their move from Las Vegas was predicated on a need to reset their spiraling debt, but the Flagstaff move wasn't a reset, it was a disaster. The major financial fault line wasn't the mortgages in Vegas, it was the move to Flagstaff, a move that Christine vehemently opposed. You could see the subtle stiffening in her shoulders, the slight downturn of her mouth every time Kody mentioned the move, especially when the one big house idea was tossed around. She hated that plan because she knew it was driven by Robyn's desire for privacy and Kody's pursuit of control. While the other wives, especially Janelle, were still trying to make the spiritual family work, trying to cling to the original vision, Christine was quietly building her personal empire. While Meri and Janelle rented expensive homes, Christine took a dramatically different and strategic path. She was the one who bought a home in Flagstaff exclusively in her own name. Kody likely resented this act of independence because it meant he couldn't control her living situation or her assets. This was a critical divergence from the plural marriage finance structure in which all earnings and debts were supposedly pooled. Christine bought her house for approximately $520,000, and later, after Kody took his name off the deed to help Robyn qualify for their massive mortgage, Christine refinanced and paid off the house with her own money and income from her ventures. This was financial genius compared to Kody and Robyn's roughly $900,000 purchase price and large mortgage. And in that small act of defiance, a huge financial wall was built between them. That house, her house, became her ultimate escape fund. When she sold it for a significant profit, possibly netting over $200,000, she didn't just walk away from Kody, she walked into financial freedom. This liquid cash, combined with the new income streams the wives generated post-separation, is what turned the tides. And if you think that's shocking, wait until you hear what David Woolley's net worth added to Christine's bottom line, fundamentally changing the Brown family's power structure forever. The crumbling cornerstone of Kody's downfall is a 14-acre stretch of rocky, undeveloped land in Flagstaff, Arizona, known as Coyote Pass. Purchased in 2018 for around $820,000, this property was meant to be the Brown family's new Camelot, for perhaps 5 separate homes in a unified compound. Instead, it became a financial black hole and a toxic symbol of Kody's deteriorating control over his wives and the family's wealth. Kody's fatal mistake with the land was twofold: financial recklessness and planning incompetence. The financial black hole. The buy was a huge drain on the family's assets from the start, consuming the bulk of the equity pulled from their successful Las Vegas cul-de-sac homes before they could all be sold. The land was reportedly financed through an owner-carry loan, which contained a critical clause: until the land was paid off in full, they could not build permanent homes on it. This, in combination with the very high cost of running utilities, water, power, and sewer lines to the largely undeveloped parcels, had the effect of stalling Kody's entire multi-house plan indefinitely. Instead of prioritizing paying off the land, Kody and Robyn pumped hundreds of thousands into their own giant Flagstaff rental and then the purchase of their permanent $900,000 plus home. The preferential spending was starving the Coyote Pass fund, and thus the other wives were left to continue the payments for a property they could not even use. The land became a burden, not a blessing. The battle for freedom. Christine was the first to break free, using financial freedom secured with the sale of her own home. She made one final separation from Kody's messy finances by selling him and Robyn her share of the land for a symbolic $10. It wasn't about maximum profit, it was a clean, swift exit from his debt and drama, taking the earned equity with her for a fresh start in Utah. Her departure left Kody, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri in a bitter four-way co-ownership struggle. Kody and Robyn, who owned a significant portion, repeatedly stalled any sale or fair division, with Kody even claiming that Meri deserved a smaller share because she had only one child. Tension escalated to the point where both Janelle and Meri had to hire lawyers to force a proper accounting and division of the property. The $680,000 profit and its fallout. Eventually, the land became too much of a liability, and the 4 parcels were sold for a combined $1.5 million early in 2025, netting the family a $680,000 profit over the original purchase price. While a profit on paper, the distribution was anything but equal. Reports state that Kody and Robyn received 50% of the payout, with Janelle and Meri splitting the other half even though Janelle had sunk substantial money, including part of her 401k, into the purchase. For Kody, the sale of Coyote Pass was the final, devastating admission that his plural family dream had died. It ended the show's most central, agonizing plotline but cemented a new reality. The ex-wives, particularly Christine, used their intelligence and independent resources to secure a brighter, debt-free future, while Kody and Robyn were left to face alone the financial strain of their large mortgage and diminished TV income. Coyote Pass was not Kody's Camelot, it was his cemetery. The financial stability of the former spouses has sharply diverged since the dissolution of Kody Brown's plural marriage. Christine and Kody are on opposing trajectories where, through financial independence, Christine leads a very secure and comfortable life, whereas Kody and Robyn reportedly struggle to bear the strain of having a large mortgage and dwindling resources alone. Christine's financial freedom, the winner. Christine's decision to sell her home and leave Flagstaff before the dispute over Coyote Pass was fully settled proved to be the key step in securing her financial standing. Secured equity. She pulled the equity from her Flagstaff home and reinvested it into a new, smaller home in Utah, purchased with her new husband, David Woolley. This move gave her an immediate and clean break from Kody's debts. Minimal debt. She accepted a token payment of $10 from Kody for her share of Coyote Pass, thereby eschewing the years of litigation and debt with regard to the property. Her current financial situation is secure and sustainable, based upon her income and that of her husband. The family's finances, once solely Kody's domain, were now a major source of anxiety and conflict. Coyote Pass was meant to be a solid place where the family's financial dreams could take off. Instead, it became a symbolic grave of those dreams. Instead, it created massive debt and years of conflict over who owed what. It only further enriched Kody and Robyn, while it tied down the resources of Meri and Janelle. The burden on Kody and Robyn. The eventual breakup exposed Kody and Robyn's financial overreach. Solely responsible now for the big mortgage and lifestyle, without 3 wives co-signing or financial contributions. The Brown family's story finally came to an end, not as any kind of glowing example of how modern polygamy could work, but rather as a cautionary tale about how patriarchal control, emotional inequality, and financial recklessness will never mesh with any kind of healthy family configuration. 3 wives have moved on to happier, more stable configurations, while Kody and Robyn remain in their self-imposed monogamous marriage, reportedly still struggling to reconcile their reality with the grandiose Camelot Kody had always promised. The collapse of Kody Brown's polygamous family, which was documented on the reality show Sister Wives, was the result of increasing favoritism toward his 4th wife and only legal wife Robyn Brown, and his resulting neglect of the original 3 wives, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. The shift began after Robyn's arrival upended the family's fragile balance, as Kody began spending disproportionately more time with Robyn and was accused of forgetting his other wives and their 13 children. This favoritism became even more pronounced after the family moved from Las Vegas to Flagstaff. The final catalyst proved to be the COVID-19 pandemic. Kody imposed rigid rules, unilateral in nature, that mainly isolated him with Robyn, breaking his relationships with Janelle and Christine and their grown children. The first to leave was Kody Brown in 2021, citing Kody's rejection of intimacy and his neglect of their children, most notably his absence from their daughter Isabel's scoliosis surgery. After Kody's decision, Janelle Brown decided to follow suit and place her children's bond over Kody's rules, ultimately separating them. Her independent nature clashed with Kody's increasing need for control. Meri Brown, after years of an essentially platonic relationship and emotional neglect from Kody, finally made the announcement to officially end her marriage in early 2023. The messy financial fight over the family's shared Coyote Pass property would become the pinnacle of the family's drama. Now monogamously married, Kody and Robyn still have a large portion of the land and proceeds, whereas the former sister wives have moved on to separate lives, which only further corroborates that he has completely failed to equally sustain 4 marriages. Increased income. Kody has used her popularity and success on the show to her advantage in pursuing very lucrative personal ventures, cooking segments, and promotional endorsements. The money is now all hers and not part of the family LLC that has been struggling. Kody and Robyn's financial burden. The losers, Kody and Robyn, who have combined their finances, are now shouldering the entirety of their large mortgage, along with the loss in total family income. The McMansion mortgage. Kody and Robyn have a large house they purchased for more than $900,000. Coupled with property taxes, the amount of mortgage payments they have to make on that house is reportedly a huge monthly commitment. They are no longer getting the financial contributions of Kody, Janelle, or Meri to offset these large payments or supplement the general living expenses of the family. Reduced income stream. Whereas the biggest share in the sale of Coyote Pass was 50% of the $680,000 profit, this is but a single cash windfall, not a continuing income stream. Their main income now is usually confined to the TLC payments for the show, which has a limited life. The weight of debt. Aside from their mortgage, other debts the couple struggled with include that infamous $74,000 loan Meri had to pay off to prevent her parcel of Coyote Pass from being foreclosed on, a loan that ultimately benefited Kody and Robyn's share of the land. They are now solely responsible for any family debts they incurred together. In other words, the separation has left Kody and Robyn economically stranded, at risk of economic pressure, whereas Kody has been freed to establish her life beyond the complex, unequal economic structure she once endured. This breakdown of the Brown family plural marriage was not a sudden event, but it finally resulted from 2 decades of systemic, unaddressed failures, with the self-imposed isolation and financial mismanagement of the Flagstaff years being the last one. Kody Brown's favoritism, the loss of unity, and financial starvation were crucial factors contributing to this failure within the sister wives' family structure. 1. Kody's favoritism and emotional neglect. But the single biggest catalyst in this family's collapse has been Kody's open and persistent favoritism of Robyn Brown. The catalyst. When Robyn joined the family in 2010, the dynamics changed. Kody's overt emotional and physical favoritism toward Robyn ultimately leading to him legally divorcing Meri in 2014 to marry Robyn and adopt her kids created a wound that will not heal. Favoritism gave way to emotional neglect. Kody withholding physical affection and quality time became a means of controlling the OG 3 wives. Kody reached her breaking point when he refused to be intimate, telling her he was no longer attracted to her. It has been distressing for Janelle to see her relationship devolve from an intellectual partnership into one that relies on sporadic phone calls and arguments over money. Meri has lived with years of emotional distance, waiting for Kody to re-engage. The COVID-19 isolation. It gave Kody an excellent reason to full-on retreat into the isolation of Robyn's house. His rules became extremely strict and inconsistent, forcing a literal separation from the OG 3 and their kids that completely severed what was already the most fragile of family bonds. 2. The loss of core sister-wife unity. In a plural marriage, the wives are supposed to be united, supporting each other and raising the children as one. The moment they moved from their shared home in Utah to separate houses, the Browns lost that unity. Geographical distance. The successive relocations, first to Las Vegas and then on to Flagstaff, with the wives living miles apart in different houses, chipped away at the sister-wife bond. They lost the natural, everyday connection that is the foundation of their family life. Competition and resentment. Kody's overt favoritism, along with unequal distribution of financial resources as was seen regarding Coyote Pass, basically pitted the wives in a zero-sum competition for time and money with their husband. Resentment grew, displacing friendship and collaboration. The children's exit. Not being able to keep functional relationships with his adult children, especially those of Christine and Janelle, cemented the break. As the older kids distanced themselves due to his behavior, the wives found more emotional fulfillment in their children and grandchildren, rather than in Kody. 3. Financial mismanagement and instability.